Welcome back to PMDD with C. I hope you're looking after yourself, and if you're going through PMDD at the moment, if you're going through Hell Week, I hope you're taking extra care of yourself. So welcome back to this channel. It's where I am creating a community of people who have PMDD or people who are interested in learning more about PMDD, and I just chit chat about everything and anything to do with it. So I was super excited. Well, actually, I was really taken aback today because as you may know from other videos, I am a qualified counsellor and I'm part of the BACP, and we get our monthly instalment of Therapy Today. I love this magazine, actually. It's one of the best perks of being a member because don't you just love something in the post? Like, I don't really get much in the post these days. Obviously you get bills, but getting this, it's lovely, and like flick through it on public transport, and yeah, anyway, so this came through, and as I usually do, I just flick through every article to see what stands out, and I open this page. Yeah, it is an article on PMDD in Therapy Today, and I was genuinely taken aback. I don't know why, because it is becoming more spoken about these days, but there is still a long way to go, and a lot of counsellors don't actually know it's a thing either. I remember in my cohort when I was training to be a counsellor, I did my research project on PMDD, and actually many of the cohort didn't realise it was a thing as well. So I guess, yeah, that's the case for a lot of qualified counsellors as well. So number one, it's amazing to see this in Therapy Today. I was genuinely shocked. I opened it and I was like, it's PMDD. And okay, it's a weird reaction because I shouldn't really get excited about PMDD because it sucks, doesn't it? No one would volunteer to have PMDD, but anyway, I was excited because obviously it exists, and we need to know more about it, and people need to be educated about it if they don't know what it is, especially counsellors. So excitement, shock over. I thought I would read it to you and then like discuss anything that comes up. So the title is Navigating PMDD Through a Trauma-Informed Lens. Kirsty Walker explores how a trauma-informed approach helped a client living with premenstrual dysphoric disorder. Now, case studies in magazines like this never use a real client's name or any thing that can identify them. Sometimes they're a combination of many different clients into one case study. So just to let you know, Claire is what the client is called, but it isn't actually Claire. Just to let you know if you're not aware of that. No one's revealing any of their clients' personal information. Claire sat in my office, her eyes brimming with frustration and exhaustion. Every month, she said, it's like clockwork. I become someone else. I can feel the anger boiling inside me over the smallest things. It's not just mood swings. One moment I'm sobbing uncontrollably and having such dark thoughts of taking my life, and the next I'm lashing out at the people I love. Then my period starts and I feel like myself again. But by then the damage is done, and I have to start to try to repair my world. I can't keep living like this. It's exhausting and it's not who I am. Claire's story is a poignant example of how unresolved trauma can amplify the already debilitating effects of premenstrual dysphoric disorder, creating a cycle of emotional turmoil that feels insurmountable. For Claire, and countless other women like her, this cyclical emotional chaos isn't just difficult, it's paralysing. What Claire described was more than PMS. Claire was suffering from PMDD, a condition that magnifies the emotional and physical symptoms of menstrual cycle to the point where they disrupt relationships, work, and self-worth. Despite this, Claire's experience was at times dismissed by doctors and misunderstood by those around her. PMDD and trauma. PMDD is still a largely under-recognised condition by medical professionals. In the therapeutic community, there is also a lack of awareness about PMDD and the link between trauma and PMDD. Research suggests that individuals with a history of trauma, particularly childhood trauma, may have a more pronounced reaction to hormonal shifts, making the emotional distress of PMDD more intense. For clients with trauma histories, PMDD may act as a trigger for unresolved emotional wounds, exacerbating anxiety, dissociation, or hypervigilance. As therapy progressed, Claire revealed a childhood marked by emotional neglect and intermittent verbal abuse. While she had worked hard to build a life far removed from her past, certain patterns emerged during our sessions. The intensity of her symptoms during her menstrual cycle seemed to unearth unresolved wounds. It became evident that her PMDD was not only a response to hormonal shifts, but also a trigger for buried trauma. The anger, sadness, and feelings of hopelessness she experienced each month mirrored emotions she had long suppressed. Claire described feeling out of control and dissociated during the luteal phase, so that's the time between ovulation and menstruation, I can never say that word, of her cycle. We explored how this echoed the powerlessness she had felt as a child. Her heightened reaction to hormonal changes made her emotional distress even more pronounced, compounding her sense of alienation and frustration. The recurring emotional upheaval during her cycle seemed to act as a magnifying glass, amplifying the unresolved grief, fear, and anger that her trauma had left behind. Through our discussions, Claire began to see how her past influenced her present. For example, the critical inner voice she struggled with during the luteal phase echoed the verbal abuse she had endured as a child. Okay, just moving on a little bit because it is quite a lengthy article. It says distress and invalidation. PMDD is a severe and debilitating form of PMS characterized by significant emotional and physical symptoms that disrupt daily life. But you already know that, don't you? Especially if you've experienced it. Clients presenting with PMDD often feel dismissed or misunderstood by medical professionals and in their personal lives, a story that we've all heard and I have highlighted on this channel time and time again. So the person writing this is a couples counsellor, and they became aware of how PMDD and trauma intersected to impact relationships. So I guess it's food for thought for everyone who is experiencing PMDD and watching this video, reflecting on if there's any trauma in your past that may actually be unresolved and if your PMDD is exacerbating this. And it goes on to say, yeah, over time, I realized that many of these challenges were compounded by unresolved trauma, which amplified the emotional impact of hormonal fluctuations. The realization motivated me to delve deeper into how trauma and PMDD interact and how therapy can provide a path to healing. And then it goes on to, which I have been banging on about in these videos, psychoeducation is everything. Understanding PMDD, understanding your pattern is so important, because with a self-awareness comes a little bit of power. Maybe power is not the right word, but yeah, kind of power in the sense that you can have more control. And I use that word lightly because I know you can't control PMDD over like how you manage it, if that makes sense. But so in this article, Kirsty Walker says, in early sessions with Claire, I made time for psychoeducation, as understanding the hormonal sensitivity that underpins PMDD helps to demystify its cyclical nature and sheds light on why it is such a complex condition to manage. And it goes into a little bit more detail about PMDD. So I'm going to skip that bit because I'm sure you are aware. And if not, please feel free to delve into my past videos where I explain what PMDD is. So here it says trauma-informed interventions. For clients with a history of trauma, it's crucial to explore the ways in which PMDD may be re-triggering unresolved emotional responses. Trauma-focused therapies can help clients heal from past experience and develop resilience in managing PMDD symptoms. Suitable trauma-focused interventions include eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, so that's EMDR, and trauma-informed CBT. With Claire, I incorporated elements of trauma-informed CBT to help her identify and challenge the negative thought patterns that surfaced during her luteal phase, such as the sense of worthlessness that echoed the critical voices from her past. By addressing these connections, Claire began to replace self-criticism with self-compassion. And again, been banging on about self-compassion in the PMDD moments. It's so important to try and give yourself as much compassion as possible, and try and silence the inner judge, the inner critic, and bring out the inner parent, the inner nurturing parent in yourself when you're going through PMDD. Mindfulness and grounding techniques were introduced to help Claire manage the intense emotional surges during her cycle. So again, I would not practice that during PMDD because that would be very difficult. But in the moments you're not experiencing PMDD, definitely mindfulness is very useful to help you prepare. She practiced body scans and focused on breathing to stay connected to the present moment, reducing dissociation. So as therapy progressed, Claire reported feeling more equipped to navigate her emotions. While the physical symptoms persisted, the emotional upheaval became less overwhelming. She developed a deeper understanding of her triggers and was able to communication and her needs to loved ones more effectively. One breakthrough moment came when Claire recognised that her anger during the luteal phase was often a response to feelings of powerlessness. By addressing these underlying emotions, she learned to assert herself in healthier ways, reducing the sense of damage she had previously experienced. And so I won't I won't finish it, but this is Kirsty Walker, an integrative counsellor in private practice, and that's just crediting because I've just read out the article. So again, this work isn't my own. I was just delighted to see PMDD and Therapy Today this is the May 2025 volume. So how did you feel about that article? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Also, if you have any suggestions for topics, do comment and I will try and deliver. Anyway, I hope you're looking after yourself. I'll see you in the next video.